hard to capture, extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The gods work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga of course, and if you're an anime only fan, this is the time of the month where a lot of the content that we talk about here on the channel is going to be spoiler heavy, so I thank you for your support. However, if you're still here, I'm assuming that you guys are all caught up with the manga and you don't care about spoilers, so I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about the possibility of Boruto and Eida and there being a real relationship there, and I definitely think that we need to discuss this. I know somebody's like, yo, FBI knocking on the door, Boruto's 13, Eida's clearly at least 20 because you see her drinking. That means that she's having sex with a minor. Totally understand all that. However, number one, we are looking like we're heading into a time skip. And then number two, laws of consent aren't the same in every country. Not saying I agree with it, just saying it is what it is. So with that being said though, moving on, the reason I want to talk about this is I see some potential writing wise for why this is something that can actually work. And the more I start looking at the possibilities, the more excited I'm getting. So I'm by no means saying we need a ship just for the sake of a ship. I'm by no means saying it needs to happen right away. That would be terrible writing. That's not what I'm saying. There's something to be said about building up towards something, having proper execution, and not letting that be the driving factor of the actual plot. There's a way you can actually do this. Other shonen have done it. So what I'm saying here is, when you look at the Boruto and Eida dynamic, while the eye test would say that her and Kawaki, it would make more sense from a conflict standpoint, I think that number one, this is Masashi Kishimoto, somebody who loves to troll fans, and everybody's been focused on Boruto and Sumire. A lot of fans been focused on Boruto and Sarada potentially being a couple. What better way to actually throw a wrench in all of those ships than to have Boruto and Eida end up being a pairing? And the reason why this could work is if you look at, again, how Kishimoto likes to write, one of the things that you get is you see how things tend to rhyme with one another, again, kind of like Star Wars. So with Boruto and Eida, one thing that you do have the possibility for is, just as Naruto was able to help Hinata see a side of herself that Hinata didn't actually know was there. She was trying to push her way through, but at the same time she was rejected by her family, which, if I'm not mistaken, culturally, when you cut that long hair like that, when you're from that high level position, that's a sign of being rejected. But the fact is that Naruto pushed Hinata towards finding something else. The same thing, ironically, when you look at Sakura post-war arc, which I'll end up covering the whole Sakura Hida novel, Sasuke did the same thing for Sakura. And so when you look at Eida, somebody who has all this hatred in her heart for Amato, somebody who is lonely because she's not able to actually experience love, you have that opportunity there with Boruto being able to bring something out of her in the way that, just as Aida's able to see all these things going on all at the same time, being able to watch somebody like Boruto actually defy his destiny like that, that does give you the opportunity. But the other thing though, and the way that this actually creates more conflict outside of the actual cannon fodder that you get with the actual ships, is the fact that if you have Boruto be somebody who is able to, through his interactions with Eida, actually win her over and get her to actually defect from Code and actually start working with them. Because you have to remember, Eida is just one of the cyborgs. It was said that Boro kept several of the cyborgs that Jigen ordered to be disposed. So there are other characters out there that are just as strong or potentially even stronger than Eida, who have more busted and overpowered abilities. The only way that you can actually tip the scales back in the favor, or at least even the playing field, is if Eida is somebody who already dances to the beat of her own drum, who, based on her reasoning for want to get even with Amato and her reasoning for joining forces with Code, there's enough of a gray area there to where you could have her defect over to Konoha if her interests were aligned with that. And I think that having Boruto be the person that's able to exploit that fact that she can't actually fall in love, I definitely think that could be something that actually works there. And the other thing on this is that when you look at it from a conflict perspective, the fact that Eida might potentially be enamored with Boruto, and that's the one that Eida ends up choosing, that means that Code would have to go after Kawaki, which means now you start the process of actually separating the ties between Boruto and Kawaki. Obviously, Boruto's not going to abandon Kawaki, but Kawaki is a character who's been betrayed so much and has trust issues. He's just one bad day away from actually flipping on everybody in Konoha. And so I think this could be a way to actually start building that tension right there, especially when it becomes clear that even though Boruto's the one becoming an Otsutsuki, Kawaki's still the one who's actually being targeted right there. And given the fact that Eida is one of those characters who she wants love so strongly, if you add another arc in her character to where she starts doing irrational things out of love, you could have it where she betrays Kawaki and has him sent over to Code. I'm not saying that's necessarily what Masashi Kishimoto's doing, but I find this potential with Boruto and Eida something that it could work. It has to be tinkered around with, it has to be worked with a little bit, but I do think that is something that works. And if you do decide to actually go with Boruto and Sumire or Boruto and Sarada, having a character like this be the actual obstacle that's between them or another romantic interest for them, again, it doesn't take away from the actual plot. It's just an actual subplot, but that's not the main plot. It's just something you drop little small subtle development things on the side. This does make that eventual shift that you get to something that's more of a earned payoff, because a lot of people took issues back in 2014 with the fact that a lot of the pairings we got, if you just read the manga, a lot of those pairings didn't have a lot of development. Some of them you could kind of get some connective tissue here or there, but everything felt very sudden. That's why all the jokes were that everybody in Naruto chapter 700 just had a huge orgy after Naruto chapter 699 and everybody had babies all around the same time. But this gives you opportunity to actually play with that right there, and the idea of Boruto actually being somebody who is able to save somebody from the darkness that's in their own heart. I think that is something that fits into Boruto's character, and we've seen him do that in the actual anime, but we haven't necessarily seen him do that in the manga. Like with Kawaki, Kawaki came out of that shell and out of that darkness because of Naruto. But with Boruto as a character, for him to actually grow and start protecting everything from the shadows, at some point Boruto has to understand that not everybody he comes across is going to be somebody who's an enemy, and some people that are his enemies can also be used for the benefit of Konoha. And so he's got a little bit of a gray area to actually walk right there. But I think Boruto getting a victory like this is something that can actually start the process of growing his character even more. And the fact is that if you age Boruto up in the time skip, that should eliminate a lot of these people saying, oh my god, this is absolute Chris Hansen to catch a predator. Totally understand why a lot of people are saying that. But with that being said though, I want to know from you guys, who do you guys think is the better option for Eida? Or do you think that Eida just doesn't need to get piped down by either one of them in the future? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.